Hello, welcome to Today's American Flyer Trains. This video is based upon and is a response to an article which recently appeared in a national trade magazine. The title of the article is Cleaning Post-War Rolling Stock. The video is not, its purpose is not to refute anything said in the article or to challenge it, but to build on it and to add value. In over 10 years of rebuilding and restoring American Flyer trains, I have focused around two principles, and one was cleanliness and one was performance, and then of course response. So I guess that's three. In cleanliness, I wanted to take away dirt, dust, household dirt and dust, any other kind of soiling that's been done on these trains or oxidation, not to mention the amount of oil that comes off of human hands of being handled for 70 years. Plus, I wanted to improve performance and minimize or lower drag and friction, which is going to contribute cumulatively to resistance, overall making the trains perform at a higher level. Well, first let's look at an after example, and both of these coaches come from the same collection. This is one that I've already finished and I have operating on my layout at the present time. It was completely rebuilt and restored with a goal, again, of reducing, not eliminating, but reducing drag and friction and lowering resistance, almost giving it a brand new appearance. The red train in the background is from the same collection, and I'm about to embark on cleaning it because I'd like to add it to my operational layout. But there are several things I think need to be elaborated on and clarified that came from the article. Just a tour. Of course, we have the shell, the chassis. The trucks are still on the chassis. The bulb for interior illumination. These were the window plastic. As you can see, they have shriveled up like a piece of bacon. So they're going to have to be replaced. I'm going to replace the cloth covered wire with rubber coated. I don't like exposing wire such as this, which can get too close to the chassis, which will short because the truck that this is going to attach to is isolated. This is the socket assembly, and none of this has really been that thoroughly clean. And we'll start out with the 4 wheel sets. Now these wheel sets are, one of them is in the final stages. The other 3 have just finished stage 2, and that is a thorough washing with a blue or a green degreasing soap to get off as much surface material as you can before you go to more expensive cleaning techniques. This one is finished, and you notice quite a difference in the contact wheels. That's the comparison of contact wheels and the comparison of the plastic wheels. What I did on this set of wheels was, after the washing, I did do 1 alcohol wipe down. Then I inserted this end of the axle into a variable speed handheld drill and then pushed the metal wheel into a sandpaper sponge 400 grit, one that I have faith in and have proven that doesn't produce deep enough striations, if any at all, on the wheel to cause further arcing and buildup of carbon dust. You could use any grit you wanted to, but I found that 400 works really well. Then do 1 more alcohol wipe, do a little bit of polishing with a Dremel tool using a steel brush, cleaning the axle thoroughly, and of course when it's reassembled, the ends of the axles will be lubricated with something that has higher viscosity than 3-in-1, as well as the journal boxes. So the wheels will continue on and should be finished shortly. Continuing with the interior of the train, I've already removed the light diffuser. Well, let me back up just a minute. I've got to replace all the plastic in the windows. This is what fell out, and I don't think it has any hope or need to go back in. I'm going to replace the Mylar, and I'm going to custom cut each piece. There's a sheet of the Mylar. such that it fits between these posts and snugly fits inside the train. I'm actually going to use tape to hold it in rather than a glue. Makes maintenance in the future a lot easier. Then I took out the original diffuser paper, and it was in good enough condition. I removed the centerpiece, folded the paper in the other direction, and then reinserted the double piece in the middle, which breaks up the light at its source. And I've got the rubber band around it to hold it in place for a little while, but I have found that it is easiest to put this in reverse, because then you get the outward pressure toward the windows and it looks a little bit neater. You can even see some of the stain on here, right, specifically right there from where it was turned in the other direction. So that takes care of the Mylar and the light diffuser. Now let's take a look at cleaning the shell. The article did allude to the use of water and soap, but I'm going to elaborate on that just a little bit. First, I'm going to talk about what I don't believe should ever be used on this plastic, and that is a blue or green degreasing soap. Those are for metal parts. That is for metal, not for plastic. It has been shown, the blue or the green, to dull this plastic, possibly removing stamped on decals or stamps or dry rubs, and especially water slide decals, and removing paint detail such as the white trim around the windows. Therefore, I avoid that. I also avoid using any kind of abrasive cloth or device to clean it, such as nylon tipped brushes. These are too hard and scrape too hard to be used on that plastic, as well as something as simple as a toothbrush. Now these work exceptionally well for soaking the wheels in a blue-green degreasing soap and scrubbing them, as well as the chassis. The chassis has already been scrubbed, and it'll be coated with CRC 226 just for preservation and for appearance. I've not finished the light socket assembly. I'll polish it with a rotary tool, and then of course rewire it. I'll clean the bulb, assuming that it works. I'll test it, and if it works, I'll reinsert it and use it. But here's what I use, and have found very, very good results with, safe results, is a mild and gentle dishwasher detergent. And I do not even put it in anything that approaches warm water. At best, I use cool water, something that changes icy cold water into just a little bit of tepid water. You can test that out on your wrist like you do baby formula. I wet the piece with that cool water very carefully. I don't submerge it. And then I work up a lather with a camel hair brush, very soft fibers. These are watercolor brushes, and they're very, very soft. So what I do is I work up a little bit of lather in a dish, and then simply take it and rotate it on the piece. And of course, testing is the way to go. And if you already have it disassembled, the best place to test, of course, is on the interior. Make sure the soap or anything that you're rubbing across it does not dull the paint, and let it dry. So I work up that lather, then I rinse it under the same cool water, shake it as much as I can to remove excess water, set it on a towel to diffuse the water a little bit. I do not rub it down. I simply maybe will wrap it in a very soft towel and just touch it, just absorb it. But I think one of the keys is that I will use canned air to blow the water out, especially in these places like this, where the pins go that hold the chassis on. Just blow some air down in there to remove the water. Don't let it sit. The last thing you want to do is insert the pins in the opening where there's moisture. Now I might pat it dry. Same thing on this, except I'm going to switch soaps. On this, I'm going to use the blue or green degreasing soap. I'm going to use a nylon tip brush, and I'm simply going to scrub it down because I want to remove all the old oil and grease. I am going to re-oil the journal boxes with something that has a higher viscosity to 3-in-1 to improve and reduce the drag and the friction. And then I'm going to coat it with CRC 226, which is somewhat for appearance, but as much for preservation as well. Once the chassis has been washed and rinsed under the same cool water, I also take the canned air and blow out the chassis. Blow water off the chassis. Don't scrub it or rub it off. I blow some inside of the journal boxes to make sure there's no excess water there. Then I set all pieces that had been washed at one time or another, I set them on the interior of the house in which there is climate control and let them stay there for 24 hours to more thoroughly dry. If it's in the wintertime, I set them on, say, the top of a bookshelf. If it's in summertime, I'll set them on a lower shelf, usually on a piece of cardboard like this, and just let them stay there for 24 hours. Simply saying that a mild detergent and warm water is enough may not give an indication that there's certain things that you shouldn't use, probably shouldn't be used, as far as scrubbing removal. Never paper towels. These things have wood fibers in them. Never. That's why I use the camel hair brush, and then where it can be scrubbed, something like this, just using the tips to go around. This is based on 12 or more years of experience in which owners have given me their collection. I've done this kind of restoration on their rolling stock. I've greatly improved the piece's ability to reduce drag and friction and resistance, making the trains run smoother. And of course, their outward appearance is just absolutely beautiful. Now we're talking about two different things. If we're talking about a die cast piece or a locomotive, those can be treated differently, but you have to treat the decaling on there with a great deal of respect, especially when it comes to this and the type of soap you use. That's the reason I use even a little bit of diluted mild and gentle dishwasher detergent, not the kind that degreases. The last thing I'm going to do on this train is replace this cloth insulated wire for the illumination. There's just too much wire exposed here for my comfort, because if this should touch the chassis, that's going to cause a short, because the truck that it goes to is an isolated truck right here. I will not return a video that is this piece finished. This is what its goal is to have this kind of appearance and performance. I'm already using this car on my Cape Cod Flyer, my non-catalog train set number 7, and that's what I'm building up to. You'll see the red coach, the red 650, probably on the end of that train when I finally publish its last videos of it in performance on the layout. This is what I'm after with that coach. Of course, prior care by the previous owner didn't hurt any, but there's things that just need to be removed, not the least of which is oil and anything else that are on human hands that can degrade the appearance of some of these trains. If you like the video, if you think there's some value add, give it a thumbs up. Thanks again from Dave's American Flyer Trains. Just a postscript to this video, and that is a little information about how to clean the record inside of the talking station. Removing it is the way to go first. Then cleaning it either with a vinyl record cleaning kit. Now, back when I collected vinyl records, I kept these kits on hand for cleaning. I think it did not only cleaning, but it lowered static electricity. That was one. Another thing I think are good today on those vinyl records are, once again, the camel hair brush, just to brush away any kind of loose material, dust, dirt, whatever, without the fear of it being scratched. The other thing that I think is overlooked sometimes is simply canned air. Blow it off. You don't have any danger then of scratching anything that would be abrasive and going across the grooves on the record. Thanks to everyone who watched this video to the end. Please subscribe to the channel to see more of this content. Give a like or comment as you see fit. And above all, remember, the trains are the show.